On today's show, time to pack your bags. We head south for spring break. Fly off to faraway destinations. Find out where to get a bit of a tan and a whole bunch of bites fishing. Just watch out for those big saltwater critters.
Minnesota Bound, presented by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
Hey everybody, Laura and I welcome you to this warm edition of Minnesota Bound.
Ron Shera shares some of his favorite warm winter destinations.
Fishy places that always seem to include two things.
That's right, a lot of sun and a few fish.
Okay. Real, he said. It's a wahoo, huh?
And a wahoo it was.
It's a little guy.
In fact, wahoo is a pretty good word to describe what was happening this day. The Caribbean was wahoo wild.
Charlie's turn next.
Fishing companion Charlie Scandori rode the waves to reach a wahoo goal.
Getting a little heavier.
I never caught a wahoo before. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I accomplished that today.
That's pretty good.
The world of wahoo in a wonderful place, the island of Aruba. It's an island of extremes. Happy islanders living amid desert and cactus, where sea winds shape the diva trees, and crashing surf carves the shore. With tourists everywhere, taking happy snaps of historic forts or jeep tours to the island's famed lighthouse landmarks.
That's the third highest point of the island of Aruba.
For visiting anglers, Aruba also has its own extremes. Wind-driven fishing seas on one coast, calm fishing water on the leeward side. Landlubbers like Charlie and me decided a couple of wahoo were enough as Captain Monty Lopez guided his fishing boat into calmer waters.
Look at him.
And
We got tuna, looks like, on top.
more fishing action.
Well, we saw some birds, and under the birds were some tuna.
All right.
And I like to fish with light tackle, so
That's what I like.
that's how we do in Brooklyn, right?
The whales that are passing through the Caribbean, they come here after the tuna, and the tuna jumps off out of the water because the whale or bigger fish is chasing them.
Oh, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
A snapshot of our catch ended one story about Aruba's fishing picture, but the next chapter starts with World War II and the day a German freighter sunk not far from the island's sand beaches. Today, this reminder of war is a favorite diving destination for visitors. And the historic beach now is occupied by hotels and footprints. Beyond the fishing marinas, friendly restaurants serve fresh fish while seagulls play in the wind, and Caribbean music floats over this island getaway. But for Arthur Giel, fishing still goes on like the old days.
This is herring, small herring, this is silverside.
And Arthur still comes to the fishing hotspot, the old German shipwreck.
Whoa. Oh, lost it.
Lost him. These fish don't fool around.
Whoa.
What do we got there?
It's a yellowtail.
Not big, just pretty,
Nice fish on Aruba.
and plenty of them hanging around the sunken fish magnet.
Is that right?
This is a duck snapper, I think.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, yeah. A duck snapper?
Duck snapper. You see the teeth?
By any name, this was Aruba's idea of a fishing utopia. Just too much fun to quit.
Fishing in Aruba. Huh?
Yeah, he's tired and I'm tired.
Coming up next, we trade saltwater for the freshwater of Mexico, home to big bucket mouth bruisers.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems, Ice Castle Fish House and RV, Star Bank, and by Rapala.
Today we are trying to get you ready for spring break with a few of Ron Shera's favorite winter getaways. Up next, the quest for some of the biggest bass on Earth.
Where'd he go?
Well, he's a little bit closer to 5.
Yeah.
Just one of the regular bass that on a day at El Salto that you can expect to catch.
Expect to catch? Exactly. Bass anglers have no boundaries in their search of largemouth bass, and that explains why we come to places like El Salto.
Well, what do you think?
Hate to say it, but I think yours is a hair bigger.
What about El Salto?
This is El Salto, one of Mexico's newest reservoirs tucked away in the rugged Sierra Madres, less than an hour's drive from Mazatlan, a popular destination for turistos seeking sun and Pacific beaches. Over the last 15 years, the rising waters of El Salto have turned what used to be fields of cactus into watery haunts for largemouth bass.
Well, I'd heard about it from a lot of my friends, and I just happened to just think, well, I'd better get up there and check it out. And I came here last year, and not only is it probably the best fishery, but it's one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been. I got it.
While ancient cemeteries slowly disappear from shore, new fishing camps are springing up as El Salto's big bass reputation spreads north of the Mexican border. The newest camp is El Salto Pro Bass Adventures, headquartered in the Mexican village of La Cruz.
Not as big as it's not a 10.
And managed by a former bass pro, Fred Ward.
It's like about an 8. El Salto produced a lot of fish for a lot of years, but they were only small, maybe up to 5-6 pounds. And then just 2 years ago, it began to develop 10 and 12-pound bass, just all of a sudden. And now it's the best fishery in the world.
A day of fishing at El Salto begins at dawn like a Mexican fiesta.
Oh, he's a jumper, wasn't he? El Salto bass.
Little fish.
The shores of El Salto may say Mexico, but the El Salto bass act like bass anywhere, at home under flotillas of hydrilla and swimming amid flooded timber.
Oh, J-Money.
I lost him. No barbs. I gotta remember that. No slack line. We're all gonna get off. It was cool though.
As we explored more of El Salto, as we flipped worms or twitched topwater lures, the evidence was mounting. If heaven's a bass lake, it might be in Mexico.
There ain't anything like it.
All right.
When we return, the answer to every bass angler's prayer. There might be bass giants in El Salto, but can you catch them?
Come on, baby. Man, they got strength, don't they?
Closed captioning provided by Connecticut Water Treatment Systems.
El Salto, Mexico has a reputation for giant largemouth bass. And that's exactly why my dad hopped on a flight and headed south.
A sunset over Mexico's El Salto is like the first page in a dream adventure. You are casting into magic basin water to the sounds of Mexico's pheasant, the chachalaca. And maybe, just maybe, you'll hold in your hands the biggest bass of your life. Fishing on El Salto is made of dreams like that.
At least 80% of the people will get a fish over 7 pounds. Fella, get back in there. Maybe 60 will get one over 10. But I think what we have found this year, that without exception, 95% of the people at least have on 1 to 2 huge fish, but fail to boat them.
Those are odds any angler is willing to take.
Beauty, look at that.
Fishing El Salto is all about being impressed. To my companion, Fred Ward, no lure was too big.
I could take a look at that puppy. It's bigger than my fingers.
And it worked. They don't call it a largemouth bass for nothing.
Good one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Almost. There you go, Freddy boy.
But as the sunlight faded and the moon rose over El Salto, topwater was the place to be.
Man.
Remember, skill and science wins out over ignorance and superstition. That's all I have to say.
Now, down to my last day on El Salto, my wish on this foggy dawn was to catch only one more bass. Just one bass. All I was asking was that it be the largest bass of my life.
Well, he's right at 6.5. He is just a beauty.
Maybe I was asking too much.
But he's a beautiful bass.
A nice bass, yes, but no life record. Now it was high noon on El Salto, and my time was running out. Then, one more cast.
There he is. Get him, buddy. Here's your fish.
That fish. He's got shoulders on him. Oh, man. I'll tell you what. Oh, man.
Let's put the scale on this
Yeah.
puppy. Okay. 13-1.
13-1.
The largest bass of my fishing days was now in the book.
Well, that's what you came for, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
El Salto, muy grande.
Still ahead, the story of saltwater fishing's favorite character. We revisit our days with the Spanish fly.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Cass Lake Chain of Resorts, Hewitt Docks, Lifts, and Pontoon Legs, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Today's show is not only dedicated to our favorite spring getaways, but
Also to the great characters that make these fishing trips so much fun.
Ron Sherrill will never forget Jose Wejebe.
Every day it's been said the sea composes a symphony of blues between sky and ocean, where crescendos come in waves and counterpoint melodies flow like schools of fish. Weiland the artist once said, "To those who love the sea, she speaks." If so, she speaks often to Jose Wejebe.
I think it's, again, like anything that you do,
Let's take a move, Ron.
and you do a lot of, and that you really love, I think you get good at.
Jose happens to be good at finding fish in the sea. He's also good at catching them when the cameras are rolling for a television show on ESPN2.
The Spanish Fly.
A show that has made famous his boat, Spanish Fly. Since the age of 6, Jose's life has been the sea and all that swims therein.
Everything has something that's really unique to itself. And I think all my life, you know, I tried to fish for those species of fish in a way that made them the most exciting.
They're home.
For example, you could catch a tuna by going out in deep water and trolling, you know, with the things, you know, 150, 200 feet behind the boat. And that's fun in its own right. However, you know, there's certain times a year where you can go back there in the Gulf and they're right there at your feet. So you try to fish for those species of fish in a way that makes them, you know, really shine.
The fish may shine, but clearly the star of Spanish Fly is Jose and his soft-spoken lessons about the ways of fishing.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, gorgeous fish.
It's a beautiful little creature.
Oh, they're just
It's changed my life in a lot of ways. You know, it used to be much simpler, you know, to get in the boat, and you know, you had a few decisions to make: north, south, east, or west. You know, that was it. But you know what? It's a challenge, and I like challenges.
Born in Cuba, Jose was 3 years old when his family, losing everything, fled from Castro and communism to settle in South Florida. At the age of 16, Jose already knew what he wanted to do the rest of his life, so he moved to the Florida Keys and began the journey. The journey to be a fishing guide.
Oh, yes. I think there's people that are born with a certain talent for some things, and I think there's other people who don't have perhaps that talent, but through perseverance and through hard work end up getting to that same level just because, you know, the love of it and stuff. You got to commit.
Okay.
Here.
What we got here?
I don't know.
What is that?
Something.
Huh?
Catch it. And not only that, you know what? For the simplest part of it, fishing is fun.
Catch it.
And that's really what, you know, I really want to get across to people is that, you know, it's fun.
No! Whoa!
Oh, big jump!
What is that?
A spinner shark.
In Jose's world, fishing and fun are never far apart.
There's like 6 sharks down there.
Including one
with the hook in him.
Not too happy. He still has a lot of strength, though, I'll tell you that.
See that? Oh, there he goes. Way to go, Ron.
A bachelor, he lives in a comfortable oceanfront home near Key West, a place rich in seabirds and sunsets. Inside, the walls reflect the things that Jose holds dear, among many things, his daughter and the fish of the sea. And one more passion.
Oh, tell me, darling,
Rockin' and rollin'.
am I right or am I wrong?
Pickin' and grinnin', fishin' and grinnin', that's Jose.
He's got it down. He's got the whole thing played out. He knows where to go, what to do. He doesn't need to be fishing every day to know that. You know, it's just kind of something he has in him.
An avid diver, the star of the show does his own underwater camera work. Nothing like watching fish behavior with your own eyes.
Watch him. Whoa! I've seen so many cool things in my life in the water.
He took it all.
So many cool things, and there's so many neat stories that happen.
How come I didn't get him?
So it's really neat to be able to share some of that, and you know, with everybody around, and let you see kind of some of the stuff that really happens in the waters that are amazing.
And so the Symphony of the Sea plays on. Jose Wejebe conducting.
Sadly, the fishing world lost Jose back in 2012.
You know, his experimental aircraft actually crashed while he was filming his television show. It was an old favorite of mine called Spanish Fly.
Well, my dad has traveled all over the world on many adventures, and if you want to hear more about his favorite getaways, you can join us on the Minnesota Bound podcast.
You can download that at mnbound.com. The show is called The Stories Behind the Stories.
Well, that does it for us. We'll see you back here next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433.